Hello and welcome to The Long Couch. My name's Carl. I'm joined tonight by Mel.
What up, what up, what up? I'm excited about this episode. I saw the title. I saw it. You can't hide from me.
And on tonight's episode, we will be discussing the most hated music. While music taste is often divisive, these 6 bands and artists have united billions of people in their shared disdain. This is the most hated music.
You want to hear my hot take right out of the gate? Like straight out of the fucking gate hot take?
Yeah, let's hear it.
You know how when people sort of debate music, primarily online, but you know how sort of people debate quality of music and sort of like compare and contrast, setting precedents with like numeric ratings and all that stuff. A lot of people are like, well, hey, music, art's subjective. You know, you can't really criticize it like that. Art's subjective, right? I hate that how popular that phrase has gotten. Art is subjective. That is true. Your enjoyment of an art form, whether it be music or otherwise, that is 100% an objective thing. I mean, a subjective thing. But like, let's not pretend like we don't have like metrics to count by.
You think there's objectively bad music out there?
I mean, music theory exists for a reason. I don't want to like suck all the fun out of it and boil music down to math. But like, I think people kind of saying, I mean, it's sort of like using it in the context of me saying, I don't like this thing because of this reason, and them going, well, art is subjective. Well, it's like, okay, well, what's the fucking point of talking about it then? So I think that phrase has kind of killed a lot of discussion around music. That's my hot take for the day.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not fair to say this is objectively bad, and I will not say that in this episode, hopefully, because I don't believe that
Hopefully?
I can just say, like, yeah, this song or this band is just, they're bad. They're bad at making music. They make only bad songs, and they shouldn't exist. Because in pretty much every case, there are hundreds of thousands of people, millions maybe, who like them.
Yeah, I mean, most of these, like, world's most hated bands are, like, still, they have very dedicated followings of, like, people who do enjoy them. Like, actually.
We're going to be discussing 6 bands or artists, and we'll have to consider the following things. Why do people hate the band or artist? And do they deserve it? So first up, we cannot have an episode about hated bands without doing Nickelback.
Yeah, this is kind of like the quintessential, like, bad band, or, like, easy to hate on band.
I think there's a more current quintessential bad band, which we'll get to later.
And the thing is like when I was in middle school, I was like, oh yeah, fuck Nickelback. Nickelback sucks because like that was like all, you know, what everyone said. But I feel like the older I've gotten, not that I listen to Nickelback in my spare time, but the older I've gotten, the more forgiving I am to their music. Because I think that sometimes maybe people were a little too harsh on them. They've got some shitty songs, but like I think people have been too harsh on them maybe over the years. And also, I mean, they've got 1 or 2 like listenable tracks that I think are fine. I think maybe we were a little too harsh on Nickelback.
So why is it that people hate Nickelback, you think?
Well, to be fair, there's a lot of things that are pretty cringy about them. Primarily the songwriting. I don't know if you've heard the song Animals, but the song Animals is just like, I mean, Animals, and then there's another one about like a threesome or whatever. I can't remember.
They have a lot of songs like that have like really cringy, overt sexual lyrics. They're a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's like the worst of Nickelback, right? The worst of Nickelback. Because listen, the butt rock, you know, kind of like dad rock sound, like I think it's, you know, kind of fun sometimes. Like 3 Days Grace, fuck yeah. Not 3 Days Grace, 3 Doors Down, fuck yeah. You know, I can enjoy that sound.
Mm-hmm.
But also I feel like my enjoyment of it is kind of like semi tongue-in-cheek in a way. But when you're layering like super cringy, creepy like sex stuff on top of that, it kind of spills over. It becomes too much. I'm literally about to Google Nickelback threesome song, and I can't believe that's going to be in my search history. The song is just called Sex. What do you know?
He goes, S is for the something.
Simple Need.
Yeah.
But he says this is how the song starts. The song starts No is a dirty word, never gonna say it first. No is just a thought that never crosses my mind. Maybe in the parking lot, better bring your friend along, better off together than just one at a time. S is for the simple need, E is for the ecstasy, X is just to mark the spot, because that, it's a creepy song. It's gross.
Yeah, they have another song that's like, you look better with something in your mouth.
Yeah, and it's creepy. But like when you listen to like How You Remind Me or like Photograph,
Yeah.
you can kind of like actually see why people enjoy their music.
I mean, they must have like dozens of songs, and some of those have got to be good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, listen, the post-grunge like dad rock stuff isn't for me in terms of any sort of like really dedicated enjoyment. I don't know if I would say that there's like a net negative impact on the world because of Nickelback's inception. They're just guys trying to be guys, and just guys being dudes.
This is a guy dude band. Yeah.
It is a guy dude band, and I think that like guy dude bands have a place in this world.
So do people hate Nickelback, or they just hate Chad Kroeger?
That's a really good question. I think maybe the latter, because I couldn't name another member of Nickelback.
Right. They're probably all nice guys. Who knows?
Yeah. And the thing is, they actually may be. Like, honestly, yeah, I think people might just hate the image of Nickelback more than the music.
I mean, Chad Kroeger is like infamously a douchebag, and his lyrics are pretty slimy at times.
That's probably the worst part about their music, honestly. I can deal with the super like punchy basic guitar riffs and, whatever.
He's got a punchable douche face.
I guess that is something to consider. I mean, from a pure music standpoint, I can forgive Nickelback.
They've got a couple slappers.
They do. I mean, I'm not going to deny that.
Songs that are good. When I was like a teenager, I used to love Rockstar. I thought Rockstar was a great song.
Rockstar's killer, dude.
I think that song you're singing there, that's a good song. That still holds up, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a reason that shit's got almost 1 billion plays, man.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I mean, Nickelback's got some low lows though.
Yeah.
Like, man, like Animal is just like almost forgivable because it's kind of fun, because that kind of has that super like upbeat, kind of like super like rapid fire, like fast paced riff to it. So like you can kind of like feel the energy of it. But Sex is just, I fucking don't like that song, man. It makes me it kind of makes my skin crawl a little bit. It's like super rapey too, which is already bad enough.
I think somebody needs to be the butt of the joke for a bad band. And at some point, somehow, Nickelback got that title, and everybody just ran with it.
Dude, yeah. I mean, I guarantee that like a good portion of the people making those jokes probably had never heard anything beyond Photograph, or even a full Nickelback song at all.
Right.
And you know what? They've taken it in stride. They really have. They've been good sports about it. I think they have.
Well,
I mean, they haven't.
It's because every band, I think, gets like a 20-year reevaluation or something.
I agree. Dude, it's been so weird seeing. I think that time period gets shorter and shorter and shorter. Kind of along with the collective attention spans of the new generation of America. Hot button issue, whatever. But like, it's crazy how everyone will love this thing, and a couple months will pass, and one person will be like, "Actually, that thing sucks," and everyone agrees. It's like, what the fuck? We were all like loving that thing. Did you see that like wave where everyone was like, "Actually, Across the Spider-Verse, that movie fucking sucks. That's a bad movie."
I did not see that, and I can't imagine why anyone would say that.
Dude, everyone turned their back on the movie, and I was like, "What's happening? I was like, what's going on?" They did it with that, and they'll do it with you. Keep that in mind.
If it hasn't already happened, there's going to be a point where Nickelback is hailed as like one of the greatest rock bands of all time. In retrospect, they were actually much better than everyone gave them credit for, and they were just overshadowed by this meme.
I can see a revisionist history of Nickelback actually contributing a valuable amount of music to society. I can see that happening. I can see, because it happens with kind of like this. I mean, that's kind of like why butt rock sort of swooped back into popular listening anyways, because it kind of started off as this sort of tongue-in-cheek ironic listening, like, oh, ha, I like Three Doors Down, Kryptonite, ha, I like How You Remind Me by Nickelback. But over time, that enjoyment becomes less and less ironic, and people just end up liking it.
All right, does Nickelback deserve the hate?
Here's the thing. I don't know if anybody just earnestly making music deserves that much hate. Like, Nickelback was like, I mean, they were the butt of the joke for decades.
Yeah.
That would drive anybody crazy. And they obviously haven't gone crazy yet, so good on them for it. The only reason I'm saying no to them deserving that much hate is because I don't like that's more hate than any person should have to go through. That is, like I said, just earnestly making art. I do hate the sex song though.
Yeah, they definitely have some top tier cringe moments, but they do have a couple slappers. I think they just are kind of an easy target, and Chad Kroeger's got a douchey, punchable face, and that's why they just became the most hated band for decades.
Yeah.
I don't think they deserve it, though. All right, let's move on. This next one, this is for me, personally, and I don't know that you have even heard of this band.
Design the Skyline?
Design the Skyline.
I actually don't know if I've ever heard of this band.
All right, well, let me regale you. So
this feels personal already.
Yes, as a young man in 2011 with black swoopy hair, and I only listened to like metalcore music. You know, I was in that scene phase. I was following Victory Records when they announced the signing of a new band, Design the Skyline, which is like the most generic ass scene band title ever. And I thought this is going to be...
Also, what does that even mean?
I don't know.
Let's just get that out of the way.
I don't know.
What are you, a city planner? You an architect? You a cartographer? What's going on?
So Design the Skyline was an American metal band from...
What? There's a lot of weight behind that past tense phrasing.
That was before the accident in which they all died.
Oh, wow.
No, I believe everyone in this band is still alive and well. In 2011, the band gained international attention after being signed to Victory Records and debuting an infamous music video for their song Surrounded by Silence. So basically out of the blue, Victory Records, which was a popular label, they had bands like A Day to Remember and many others that scene kids loved at the time.
Yeah.
They announced new band, Design the Skyline. They put out a little teaser. A couple days later, they put out the full music video for Surrounded by Silence. Now, this song, let me see, I can actually recount when I first heard it because this video became insanely infamous and disliked.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with bands like Tony Danza, Tap Dance Extravaganza, or I Wrestled a Bear Once, or the Dillinger Escape Plan.
Are you on a random name generator? What's going on? What are you saying? Are you saying words?
Okay, but this is a metal band with 7 members, 2 vocalists, and they were a very avant-garde metal band. They're very experimental. They mashed up a bunch of different genres. They did like the kind of attack, auto-tune, singing, and synthy loops. They did like some I Wrestled a Bear Once, crazy grindcore sounds. They did like kind of a deathcore sound. This song jumped around quite a lot. And this is a very young band, just coming out of the gate, making their first impression. And they just had a very experimental song, which was hard to follow and just threw everything at the wall to see what stuck. And combining that with their over-the-top scene kid image with the crazy hair and the neon guitar strings and just their style in general, they just became the laughingstock of Victory Records and the internet as a whole for a while.
Okay, I'm a minute into this Surrounded by Silence video. I decided to pull it up, listen to a little bit of it, kind of get a glimpse into what it was like being Carl in high school. And I think this is maybe an unfair question to ask for 99% of acts because it's not the point. But who is this for?
I mean, this is kind of an established sound, but well, they're doing a bunch of different genre mashups here is the thing.
Which is the thing that works for people if you execute it, I suppose, in a tactful manner. I can see why this didn't take off. And not even because it's horrendously bad. I just think for the time period, who it was being marketed by, I can see why it didn't take off.
I heard about this song just being like terrible and like I needed to listen to it. And there's a bunch of reaction videos to it and stuff like that. And people were saying this is the new worst song of all time. And I went and I listened to it and I thought the video was like kind of goofy, but the song was like not bad. I was kind of impressed at like how many different genres they pulled off in that song. and I thought it was kind of experimental and cool. Like, I like that kind of crazy grindcore sound and deathcore, and I like when bands slap a couple genres together and call it a song. I thought the song was pretty cool. I didn't really get all the hate at the time, but I was in the minority.
I listened to about half of the track just now, and I think that it really kind of is just a circumstance of like wrong place, wrong time, because or even right place, wrong time, because this song, like, I can 100% like see the appeal behind it, and I can see an audience for it, right? But we can kind of actually connect Design the Skyline to the plight of Nickelback here, where I feel like a lot of the hate kind of just comes from the image.
The image,
right?
That's a big part.
Scenecore was already very easy to make fun of, even for the time. It was on its way out. It was never designed to last. Scenecore was never something that had longevity. And also, I feel like it kind of like already establishing itself as sort of being like, oh, like we're social, musical, artistic, like dissidents, very fringe acts. You're already sort of like, you're already sort of being a dissident in terms of like a music industry. So I feel like when you take it a step further, it's just not, and it's not going to land the way you want it to. I can see this song like having like a very like dedicated underground following though. Like if it came out today, I know I follow like 10 people on Twitter that would like praise the fuck out of this.
I totally agree. I think either A, if this song came out without a music video at the time, it would have been so much better. Because the song is not terrible. But the video and their style is pretty cringy. And I think if this were to come out today, even with the video, I feel like if this blew up on TikTok or something today, it would be embraced.
I think so too, but I also think that we're just way more accepting of like I said, like more fringe styles, more experimental styles.
I think the kind of weird Zoomer music that comes out these days and is really experimental and weird is way more, it's embraced a lot more. But when you're like, especially in the metal scene, when you're like a metal elitist, you expect like a certain thing, and anything that derives from that kind of is like gay and stupid. It's 2011. That style was not quite as popular as it used to be, and they were so exaggerated. It was almost like a parody. It's almost like they're parodying scene bands by doing all these different like they were touching every bass and checking every box. And they had like these crazy neon colored guitar strings and just their over the top looks and piercings and tattoos. It was kind of laughable.
A little bit.
They had names like Danny Doom and Julian Reckless, which might have been cool in like 2007.
I'm starting to think that maybe there's a chance that I think the music actually might have been the least important factor. Like the actual sound of the music might have been the least important factor that kind of played into this band's failure.
I mean, I can see why the song is off-putting and like kind of disorganized. I can see why someone listening to it might think it sucks and has no direction. But yeah, I do think that's probably the lowest of their offense.
Yeah, you ever listen to Crazy Town?
Like Butterfly?
Yeah. They have a band member who goes by I had to look it up to make sure I didn't get it wrong. Who goes by Shifty Shell Shock.
That's cute.
I mean, isn't that just fun?
I mean, that's still better than Danny Doom.
I think this actually more so than Nickelback actually comes down to just image.
Yeah.
Like it's just I mean, Scenecore is just one already such an easy target. So any sort of like casual like music enjoyer is already going to be turned off to just the image of them. But then also there's sort of like a different angle of being ostracized by the metal community, because metal elitists are very intense about what is and what is not metal. And I can see this. So they're being ostracized by non-scene people who think scenecore is cringe, and then they're also being ostracized by the metal community because they think their type of metal is cringe.
Yeah. I think you hit it on the head there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think that's just kind of like the curse you have to bear when treading down this path. And now I think today that we've sort of elevated our society into a somewhat post-cringe environment where cringe, rather than being unfairly and like sort of viscerally hated upon. It's kind of like more accepted now. We lean into cringe. We're more okay with it. You know, to be cringe is to be free. But back then, fuck no. No way anybody would have thought that.
I think they had a really terrible first impression just coming out on their label with a video like this. And
I agree.
Once you get that and everybody's made their opinion that you suck, there's no coming back from that. And there wasn't for this band. They put out one album. It didn't do well, and then they disbanded.
Let's be transparent here. They're kind of cringy.
But a lot of good bands were cringy too.
Yeah. A lot of, I mean, that's fine though.
There were good bands doing this style that looked similar to this at the time.
I don't think the world was ready for them.
I don't think so either.
We should bring back a Design the Skyline reunion. Revival, even.
Who knows? It could happen. They'll have to get all 7 members back together.
That is not the sound. That song did not sound like 7 people are playing at the same time.
To me, it sounded like 12 people were playing at the same time. All that was going on.
Honestly, you could one vocalist, one guy with a MIDI keyboard, and you're good.
All right, let's move along to the current most hated band, I think. Well,
okay,
it's in contention. This is Imagine Dragons.
All right.
They are an American pop rock band formed in 2008. They are currently one of the best-selling bands of all time.
Yes, they are.
Millions and millions of albums, multi-platinum, incredibly, tremendously successful. And because of that, as is the case with a lot of these bands, I tried to stray away from just picking, I didn't want to pick, Taylor Swift is hated. Well, it's like, of course, Taylor Swift is one of the most popular artists in the world. There's so many millions of people that love her. Of course, there's going to be also hundreds of thousands, millions of people that hate her too.
Also, it's just not the same. It's not, by no means is it popular to hate Taylor Swift.
No, but it is very popular to hate Imagine Dragons, yes.
I mean, I fucking hate him. Let's get into that. I'm excited. I hate Imagine Dragons.
Well, maybe you can tell me why.
Oh, please. First of all, I would rather listen to Nickelback than Imagine Dragons. Actually, I think Imagine Dragons is the most bland fucking clap stomp stadium fucking pop rock of all time. Mm-hmm. It's literally, it feels like slop, factory made on an assembly line with no, I mean, it sucks, dude. And I'm sure they're nice guys, by all means. I'm sure they're nice guys, but it's so bland. I mean, you know the song, what's the biggest song they've ever made? Not Radioactive, Thunder. You know the song Thunder by them?
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's just truly a testament to their ingenuity in making bad music. How you can make a song that sonically is so big, so cavernously roomy, and so heavy, and so fucking boring at the same time. You know what I mean? It's music for people who don't like listening to music. It's inoffensive, tasteless, boring, bland shit. Nice guys, though, I'm sure.
They are nice guys,
sure.
Yeah. They've done a lot of great philanthropic work.
Yeah.
And they're just generally
And I know they
nice
have
people.
the whole thing with escaping the Mormon church and kind of I'm sure they're great guys. I just hate their music.
Well, you're definitely in the majority, or maybe you're not in the majority because they're so successful. It's hard to say.
Oh, they're huge. I mean, they're massive. I mean, I would actually say, as popular as it is to hate them, I would probably say that I'm in the minority here. There's at least a plurality of people who like them.
It's probably casual music listeners that like them, that are not examining music and looking for something complex.
With a band like Imagine Dragons, it's I don't know how many monthly listeners they have, but let's say it's 50 million, because I know they're huge. I mean, how out of that 50 million monthly listeners, how many of those people are hitting the deep cuts, man?
Not many, I'm sure.
They're not. They're listening to Thunder and Radioactive.
Yeah, I mean, those songs are on playlists or something. People listen to them when they work out. And that's where their monthly listeners come from.
It really is. They really are a band for people who don't listen to music.
I mean, you could say that about a lot of just super popular pop artists.
I mean, yeah, that's true. But I feel my thing with Imagine Dragons and why I specifically dislike them in terms of other very popular sort of boring pop artists is because their music to me just feels entirely lifeless. I feel like the music they make it doesn't feel like it's made with any sort of, I don't want to say goal, but yeah, it's just fucking boring. There's nothing to it. I feel like they don't really have an ear, or maybe even they don't even care to make, given their popularity, they don't even care to make something that is even in the slightest boundary pushing or inventive. I'm sure great guys though.
So the only other person that I talked to about Imagine Dragons, they said that they were a fan of Imagine Dragons on their first album, the album that had Radioactive on it. And at the time, they thought that was cool, that Imagine Dragons was a good band. And then after they blew up and their second album came out and they kind of got this pop sound with, thunder and whatever it takes and stuff like that, then they felt like, I've been betrayed. Like suddenly, Imagine Dragons sucks now.
I love the idea of a super dedicated to the first album Imagine Dragons fans who's like, yeah, they were great, they just fell off. That's a great image to me. And here's the thing. I'm not going to pretend like I didn't bump Radioactive when I was in middle school. When I was a child, that song was the greatest song in the world. It fucking banged.
Yeah, at the time, it was super popular and well-loved. Like, nobody, a minority of people, I think, at the time were hating Imagine Dragons.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I'll even go, I don't want to, but I'll go so far as to say that Radioactive probably still kind of holds up.
Yeah, it's a fine song.
Yeah, but man, that is the most praise that I will give them.
So a lot of people really hate them because they're always classified as rock. And you'll hear them on the pop radio stations and you'll also hear them on the alternative rock stations. This is 101 The Rock. We only play nothing but rock. Yeah. Anyway, here's Imagine Dragons. That kind of thing.
I think that's probably my the least egregious offense because I think at this point, you can kind of argue in circles about genres all day.
I'll say, listen, if you're a guitar-based band, you're rock, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, or at least you can call yourself rock.
Yeah.
At the very least, I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong.
Even if your drums are fake, if your song is guitar-centric, I'd say it's a rock song.
I mean, yeah, you can be pop rock. I'm not gonna argue that they're not rock music. I feel like that's kind of sort of a side argument that doesn't actually get to the root as to why their music isn't good.
And a lot of it is just oversaturation, with them dominating the rock charts and the pop charts and being so commercially accessible. You can put them in a commercial. You can play them at a stadium. They're everywhere because they're totally inoffensive and bland, and they do that job really well.
I mean, yeah, they make music for Ford F-150 commercials.
Exactly.
But I mean, someone's got to do it.
Yes, and someone's got to be incredibly successful doing it.
And I think that they are wildly fucking successful. And I think you kind of walk a fine line when you get to sort of adverse reactions to a song or contention with a band due to oversaturation of them being played in public spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a whole other thing. That's not really a testament to the quality of their music. I'm sure there are songs that I think are good that if I heard enough times in the wrong environment, I would probably end up disliking as well.
Oh, yeah. John Bellion, Low. Incredible song, incredible artist. That song got so overplayed, I don't want to hear it again.
Yeah, or what's the Kanye West? Is it Power from My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy? The second I hear the first half second of that song and I'm transported to a sports stadium and I can't stand it.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, it's not like I loved that song in the first place, but my brain just associates Power by Kanye West with being in a basketball stadium because I watched, I went to a lot of basketball games growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a whole different conversation. That's not a testament to how good of a song or how bad of a song Power is. It's just a testament to me hearing that fucking song over and over and not being able to stand it.
So my experience with Imagine Dragons, I had not really cared or tied them to Radioactive. I'm sure I heard that song because it's inescapable, but I never thought oh, this is Imagine Dragons.
Right.
And then I started to hear songs off their second album. I heard Whatever It Takes and Enemy. And when I heard those on pop radio, I was like, oh, this is kind of good. This is the kind of slightly edgy pop act. I had no idea that they were this hated. And I had no expectation for them at the time. I thought those songs were pretty good. If not I'm a total pop music enjoyer guy. You give me a catchy, straightforward pop song and I'm okay. I'll eat it up.
Yeah, and here's the thing, I like a lot of pop music. It just does not do it for me. Like the chorus on Whatever It Takes, I hate to keep repeating myself, but it just feels like lifeless. It just doesn't feel like anything to me.
I think that's a pretty good song. I've heard some Imagine Dragons songs that I think are like pretty good. Like I don't mind hearing them.
I don't know. I then again, I kind of like hate that whole sort of like big like anthemic like deep sound that a lot of pop rock sort of subscribes to. I kind of feel the same way about like clap stomp bounce of like Mumford and Sons. Like Mumford and Sons to me is kind of like the Imagine Dragons of folk pop. And and I think that there's just kind of like a certain sort of like indulgence and catchiness to that doesn't resonate with me because it almost feels too easy.
Yeah. I think at the time I was kind of tired of hearing like R&B and rap songs on pop radio. And so I thought this is kind of refreshing. And I don't go out of my way and I'm not listening to their albums or whatever, but I've heard some Imagine Dragons songs that I think are pretty good.
This is probably my biggest praise of them. Imagine Dragons, I do not like their music, as I've made it very clear, but I do think that they are incredibly inoffensive.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people don't like it.
I think they're doing what they're good at, and they're making a shit ton of money doing it, and they seem like they're having fun. But by no means do I think their lyrical content is egregiously offensive, such as I would maybe say like Nickelback's can be with some of the more crude lyrics. Nor do I think that they're totally inept musicians and totally fucking beyond fringe, like maybe Design the Skyline is. I just think they're boring. And that's is that a crime? No.
Sometimes that's the biggest crime of all.
Yeah, in their case it is, but like I at least I can say that like it's inoffensive. And so I'm not actively like angered by it.
Okay, well, let's talk about somebody who is quite offensive.
I was waiting on this.
This is Machine Gun Kelly, a.k.a. MGK, a.k.a. Handgun Kelly, a.k.a. whatever his real name is that I looked up earlier and now I forgot. Machine Gun Kelly is an American rapper, singer, songwriter, and actor who has found success making both hip-hop and alternative rock music. But why is he so hated? Is it because he's dating Megan Fox and everybody wishes that they were him? Maybe. But it might also be his music.
Nice little segue there. I also very much dislike Machine Gun Kelly.
Okay. I'm glad we're getting some good disagreement in this episode.
I mean, this feels like low-hanging fruit. I mean, he made shitty rap. I mean, honestly, with the rebranding he did, you would honestly think that, like, he was, like, a breakout artist of, like, 2021. Like, honestly, the way he's kind of, like, remolded his image, you would think that he never had dropped an album before the 2020s.
Yeah.
But he has, like, 4.
I absolutely despise that stupid song with Camila Cabello that I heard on the radio a million times.
What song are you talking about?
Oh, I love the pain. You know, where he's talking about scars on my body, you know?
What the fuck? Hold on. Is it Bad Things?
It's got like
half a billion views.
Yeah.
I'm going to listen to this real quick.
Oh, I hate that song so fucking much. And I heard that and realized that was MGK. So that was my first impression of him. And I just thought like he was just the most like half-assed rapper. Yeah, that's all I needed to hear.
Sealed the deal. I think that's fair.
That being said, then he came out with Tickets to My Downfall, which I think is pretty good. Pretty good. That's like a B-rated album. B+ maybe.
I want to empathize with you so bad. I want to say, Carl, I get where you're coming from. I don't. I can't stand that album. I think it's really bad.
You also are super critical of that pop punk revival.
That is true. I am particularly critical of that. See, when I was like in middle school and in high school, I was in this weird area where it was like third wave emo had already been on its way out, but that was like kind of like that was emo, or like pop punk, like that was punk. So it's like I'm in this weird sort of like middle ground where instead of like true sort of like tried and true quintessential punk or tried and true quintessential emo, I'm listening to like My Chemical Romance and like Blink-182 and Green Day. So like, but basically the poppier alternatives to like the initial edgy raw genres that kind of came out in the 80s and 90s. And so that's kind of like what I grew up with. And so when I listen to like Machine Gun Kelly's rendition on pop punk, it feels kind of like in the same vein as the Imagine Dragon stuff. To me, it feels very lifeless. It feels very shallow, and like formulaic, and very clinical in a way. It's very sterilized. But at the same time, it also feels where Imagine Dragons is inoffensive. This is like offensive to me. I think it's an offensive work of art, and I think that's maybe where I kind of draw that line of separation between Machine Gun Kelly and music that I don't like but find inoffensive. Is I think the music that he makes is very tasteless.
It's a disgrace to the genre.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna like pretend that like Green Day is like the hallmark of a great pop punk. I think that it is kind of like a sort of like a bastardization of a sound. But at the same time, it's like I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like Machine Gun Kelly's a dumbass. He knows what he's doing. He's obviously like found a niche that he fits into, and he, you know, kind of like spearheaded that pop punk revivalism that took over at the turn of the decade, and he, you know, did it, you know, well enough to a point where he's pretty much the only person that survived it. I just don't like it, and I also think he can't sing.
See, I agree with you on most of those points. I just come to a different conclusion because I listen to that and I think he is doing absolutely nothing new. This is totally derivative. This is like a pretty mid replication of an early pop punk album. And I like it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, taking myself, even if I tried, and obviously you can't just take away life experiences from your brain. But I feel like even without that, like, sort of upbringing, I don't know. I guess it's different when you're acknowledging that this is nothing new and it's kind of shallow and you're just enjoying it for that. I don't know. It feels super contrived to me. It doesn't feel like anything other than marketing. I want to get it. I want to be like, oh, I get it though.
You don't have to get it. I'm not going to try to push the
I know.
issue.
I'm trying to really see it from your perspective. Actually, you know, you explaining that you agreed with that, but when you said I agree with that, but I came to a different conclusion, like everything made sense to me. Like it clicked in my head, and I was like, oh, okay.
I'm perfectly happy to listen to an album that is just like, it does its sound and it's kind of fun and catchy, and I don't really need the music to be complex specifically or to push boundaries. Like, I think he made a pretty average pop punk album, and for that, I like it.
I guess my major contention with that is it doesn't need to be complex or boundary pushing to be good, and I don't think it's good.
That's fine. I can understand why, because the sound's been done better and it's evolved in the 20 years that's existed. So, yeah, I can definitely see why a lot of people don't like this. And a lot of people just don't like him. And I don't blame them for that shit either.
I will say this about it. Everyone wants to say that, like, oh, fucking Eminem, like, ruined his career. If you want to say, oh, Eminem made him switch genres, that's probably true. Like, that is probably true. He released that rap EP right after the beef. It was like the worst rated thing he's ever put out, and that was the last time he ever did rap, like on an official studio project. So if you want to say, oh, Eminem ended his rap career, that is true, probably. But MGK is also bigger than he's ever been. So,
oh, by the way, I listened to Genre Sad Boy today for research.
How was that?
Not good.
I've heard very bad things.
I like Trippie Redd. I like a lot of his stuff. I think even on that album, he shines much brighter than MGK.
I'm not surprised by that at all.
But it's a very weird, like, dated emo rap EP coming out in the year of our Lord 2024. Yeah. And it's like, this is too early to be an emo rap revival and too late to be timely.
I like significantly more of Trippie's work than I have. I don't like, I guess, I mean, any number more than 0 is more. So I mean, I like more of, Trippie Redd's work, but I'm not surprised it sucks. But MGK is bigger than he's ever been, and he doesn't have to try. Like, you know what I mean? Like with genre sad boy, that I'm sure he probably literally half-assed that entire thing. And if that's him trying his best, then dear fucking God. But he doesn't have to try. He can put out whatever he wants and it sells fucking thousands.
It probably will sell, but it's going to get roasted by critics.
Yeah, but critics aren't the ones buying your albums in mass.
Mm-hmm. I doubt any song on that EP is going to make in the top 40 though. I mean, maybe I'll be eating those words, but I doubt it.
No, I mean, I don't think anybody even gives a shit about that EP. Like, it's not like this is like a full length studio album from like MGK. Like, this is a fucking EP called Genre Sad Boy. So one, not the sound that his current wave of fans enjoy him for. Two, a collaboration, EP, little extended play with our dear friend Trippie Redd. I mean, this kind of was just like a bad idea from the start. Like, just the idea is like a non-starter for me. Nothing about that even like makes me want to check it out.
I still recommend listening to it just to hear how bad it is.
I actually I might take time to do that tonight.
And to get a couple of shining moments from Trippie Redd in this album, just kind of holding the album above the water.
I have no doubt in my mind he's the best part of that project. I heard that there was a JID feature and I wanted to cry. I was so sad about that. I mean, JID is like one of my favorite rappers ever. And like hearing he had a part in that project hurt my soul.
I don't know. Maybe it's not worth listening.
I hope he got a fat paycheck for it. That's all I'm going to say.
So one of the big reasons MGK is hated is because, well, he's popular in multiple genres and both of them hate him. So hip-hop fans hate him because, well, he tried to diss Eminem and he's a creep and he's just a bad rapper and he went mainstream successful and totally sold out. And then pop-punk fans and rock fans hate him because, well, he's a rapper, he's a poser, he's just trying to be Blink-182. He's not one of us.
Yeah.
So he's kind of in a weird sticky spot where he doesn't quite know where to go.
Honestly, you brought up the whole like him being creepy stuff. That's probably his worst offense. I mean, anybody can make bad music, but like he on multiple occasions he said some very strange things about very young girls. Mm-hmm. That's probably the worst offense. He's a creep. Get him out of here.
In general, he's just like has a very douchebag personality and persona going on.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I don't give a fuck what you think. Anarchy, this and that.
I mean, there's tons of like people that make bad music that don't want to fuck teenagers. So he just had to have it both ways. Mm-hmm. He had to make bad music and be a creep.
All right. Let's take a look at Ghost. Are you familiar with this band?
I'm very familiar with Ghost. I actually had no idea that they were like hated.
So Ghost is a Swedish rock band formed in 2006. The band performs in costume as Papa Emeritus, Cardinal Copia, Papa Nihil, and a group of nameless ghouls. Their lyrics and stage presence are very theatrical, often conceptualizing satanic themes. They all wear costumes, they're very mysterious, they're very showy and theatrical, and have a bunch of satanic lyrics. That's pretty cool. As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I always thought, and listen, I only have heard a couple of Ghost tracks. I've only heard a couple songs by them, but like the costumes are fun. Mm-hmm. You know, the extra mile for theatrics is always a good time.
But why are they so hated? One of the main reasons that people hate Ghost is because they're gatekeepers, and Ghost is not metal.
So once again, only heard a couple songs. Was Ghost ever really trying to be like big metal band?
They claim that they take influence from a bunch of different genres. They all have metal backgrounds, but they never really claimed to be a metal band.
What was the song that got super popular from them like last year or the year before? It was on TikTok, I think. I don't know, but like that song wasn't like metal like even like at all. Like I see the influence for sure, especially where metal kind of tends to be a very cinematic genre when you kind of look at the like theory behind it. But I don't know. I feel like Ghost is kind of like the sleeper here. I really don't feel like they have anything to like directly be like these guys fucking suck.
No, I mean they're a good band. I've only heard one of their albums. And I would consider them a metal band. I think if you have like kind of heavily distorted guitars and a certain style of singing and drumming, like they're like a kind of a heavy metal band, you know, like drawing from an older style. but I would say they're a metal band. I don't see what the what the problem is. Now, maybe not all of their music is like that, and I think it's cool that they branch out and do different stuff, but the metal community is very much like, keep Ghost away from us. They're not metal. Everybody keeps calling them metal, and they're simply not. And I think part of that is because of their image. People see the theatrics, they see the costumes and the mystery around them, and the satanic imagery, and they think this shit is going to be fucking brutal and heavy. And they listen to it, and, well, it's kind of, accessible. And it has nice singing, clean vocals, and it's not crazy heavy.
I mean, I think the theatrics are fun.
Mhm.
Like I think that definitely if you're going to do something like that, then I think that your music kind of needs to line up with that image, or else it kind of feels like sort of jarring. But I think that their music does. I think that kind of having that aesthetic and kind of, like I said, going the extra mile to kind of not only play your music live, but also sort of, develop this persona and kind of have, sort of like choreography and theatrics. Like, I think that's just like fun. And, even if it's not an aesthetic that I'm, super fond of, 'cause I wouldn't even say that I love like the kind of style they're going for. I think it's commendable. It's kind of like, just do something fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
Even on a super tiny level, like on the smallest level, I just like any sort of like coordination, like whether it's Ghost's full makeup costume persona theatrics, or like a Tally Hall just all wearing different colored ties like the fucking Wiggles. like having some sort of like cohesion and coordination in your appearance and your image and your presence on a stage is like fun.
Some people view that as being very corny, though.
So fucking what, man? Who cares?
We're talking about why are they hated.
That is true. I guess
that could be a big part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I get why. I get why you could call that corny, but then again, I kind of think that corny, a lot of the time people are like, oh, that's corny. It kind of just means, oh, they're trying to do something. Right. Oh, if you're trying, that's corny. You're trying too hard.
They're making an artistic statement or doing something that I just don't understand.
Yeah, I don't get it, so it's cringe.
I definitely had the impression upon seeing this band that they would be a lot heavier, but I was kind of pleasantly surprised. And I think when you're doing something this theatrical, the style of music that they make the more accessible, with singing and not crazy, heavy music that they're making, not super metal-oriented music, I think that plays well into the performance side of their band.
Yeah, I mean, look at Kiss.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not pretend like Kiss was not super accessible.
I mean, they've got a demon in their band.
Yeah.
They sing nice songs about partying all night and making sweet love.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Like the look the look compared to their lyrics, it's jarring.
Also, this band is like mainstream successful, like they're topping charts, selling out arenas. And of course, when that happens, especially with a band that claims to be metal, apparently, or is labeled as metal, they say, no, that's not metal. The real metal is down here.
Yeah, that is true. I think when anything just kind of like crosses like a threshold of being popular, it just, it kind of has to go through like a hazing ritual of everybody hating it.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, we can't just ignore the satanic imagery. Like, that's going to be popular with the general public. Like, to those in the know who know that this is just like a fun tongue-in-cheek gimmick that they do, no problem. Like, it's just fun music. Yeah, they're intentionally provocative with this image. I think either people will view that as just being corny and try hard, or people who don't get the joke or just are offended by that kind of thing because they're religious or whatever. Then of course they're not going to like it either, and they're going to hate this band and say they're the devil's music. So yeah, I can see why this is such a widely hated band, because they have to kind of speak to a certain little sliver market there that's in on the joke and doesn't mind that they're not heavy as they may appear to be.
Yeah, but I mean, you find that audience that is like down for that, and like you're good. You don't even got to worry about anybody else.
I think this is a good band. Like I said, I've only heard one of their albums. I quite liked it. I got no complaints here.
All right.
And last, we've got Justin Bieber. It's hard to talk about hated artists without talking about Justin Bieber.
I actually don't know why I didn't see this coming.
I mean, shit, was Justin Bieber like in his redemption arc by the time you were like in high school?
Oh no, no. Like when I was in middle school, Justin Bieber was the most hated person on the planet.
Because when I was in early high school, Justin Bieber was the most hated person on the planet.
Yeah.
And how much of a gap is there in that in that time span?
I was born in 2001, so I would have been in 8th grade in like 2014. 2014. I was in 8th grade.
And I was hating on Justin Bieber back in 2009. Back when he was singing "Baby, Baby, Baby," and of course,
dude, people like it was comical.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of like the Nickelback of pop.
I suppose, yeah. Except he's much more PC.
But also, like, he's just a fucking kid, man. Like, that was all label stuff.
He's just a fucking kid, yeah.
Like, he's not anymore. But like that initial boom of people like fucking hating him, like I'm gonna fucking kill you, Justin Bieber. I'm gonna come to your house and fucking kill. Like he's like 13 years old. I'm gonna fucking kill you. That was just like the image and the music that a label was molding him into having.
Oh yeah, because they knew he would sell.
He's a douchebag shitty pop artist now, but he's an adult now, and you can call him a douchebag shitty pop artist.
Yeah, don't take it out on a kid.
I do think it's crazy that a good portion of the country was like saw this like 14-year-old kid and was like, I want you to fucking die.
And that can be very damaging to a child.
Yeah, it can be. It can be traumatic. Dare I say?
Justin Bieber is a Canadian R&B singer born in 1994, same year as me. Bieber was discovered on YouTube at age 13. And soon after, he was releasing chart-topping hits under Usher's record label. So he was really swept up quickly.
Yeah, it could not happen anymore, by the way.
They skyrocketed him, basically. They scooped him off the internet, and they said, you're working with Usher now, and you're going to be topping the charts in a couple of months. And he was.
Yeah, because Usher was writing those hits.
Right.
Usher got his first deal at like fucking 16, 17.
So why was Justin Bieber so hated? Well,
he was gay.
Because he was just gay as fuck.
Yeah, dude, that was when I was in middle school. Like Justin Bieber, he's so gay.
So gay.
And by the way, why? You know, he's writing songs about girls. His entire demographic is girls, like young girls, but girls nonetheless.
But have you heard his squeaky singing voice?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Once again, well,
listen, at the time, gay meant lame. It didn't mean homosexual.
Well, yeah, but it was kind of like this hand in. I mean, at the same time, same concept. The whole nation just saw this 14-year-old boy and was like, "You're gay as fuck, dude." I mean, that's crazy.
So Justin Bieber was extremely popular with young girls, and when something is extremely popular with young girls, it's very unpopular with everybody else.
Yeah, 100%. One Direction went through it. Justin Bieber went through it.
Every boy band,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys.
Every serious music critic in the world chastises them and thinks they're the worst thing to happen to music.
Yeah, man. Which is crazy, because when you look at the demographic and the purpose of the music, it's like these are like factory pumped out little beautiful boys that just are meant to market to like this young girl demographic.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody's pretending that they're the Beatles. Here is a boy that like
can sing good.
Prepubescent girls will find cute.
Mm-hmm.
He can sing well, and let's write him a bunch of catchy pop hits and print out some posters.
Yeah, they sold him as the new teen heartthrob. In his image and his lyrics, he was writing cutesy, G-rated love songs, going out there with his cute little 14 prepubescent voice, and sweeping the nation and winning over the hearts of all the young girls.
Yes.
And he did that very well. But with anybody else, they fucking despised him.
Yeah.
And he became a lightning rod for years of just being like the most hated artist.
The music was bad, to be fair.
That is true.
But it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Like this is one of the instances where you can look at music being made and you can very, very like concretely identify there is a very specific target demographic, and outside of that demographic, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like a lot of bands are like, oh, I'm happy that my music kind of like, you know, sort of crosses borders, and, you know, people from all kind of walks of life can enjoy my music. And that's great. And I'm sure a lot of bands take a lot of value in their music, sort of having this, you know, breach of boundaries and extending beyond demographic. But with like music like this is very specifically meant for like one kind of person.
Uh-huh. And there's nothing wrong with making music meant for a certain demographic, especially when you're a record label and your goal is to make money.
Yeah, I think that's I think like people getting worked up at the time, you know, if you're like a 35-year-old fucking guy and you're like, Justin Bieber's the worst fucking music I've ever heard. It's like, cool, man, not for you.
Uh-huh.
Like demonstrably not for you.
Well, unfortunately, sometimes you can't escape it.
That is
when something's
fair.
so popular. I mean, me personally, I don't really care to listen to K-pop. It's not for me, but I don't go out of my way to hate on it or anything. I just recognize that, like,
it's fine.
I don't care for it. It's not for me. I don't listen to it.
Yeah.
End of story. I listen to music that I like.
You don't stand Jimin?
I don't know who that is.
That's fucking crazy. I don't even listen to K-pop. I know who Jimin is. Get your money up, bro. Get with it.
See, I'm just out of the loop. I just don't care to be involved in that.
To be involved in it like it's a conspiracy. I don't care. I don't mind that K-pop stuff. I just don't care to be involved in it.
Yeah.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
I don't, there's no innuendo there.
Okay. I won't press. I won't push.
So despite Justin Bieber, of course, being hated by millions, it didn't really stop him, because he was also loved by millions of little girls and presumably some little boys too. And he was selling out arenas. He was topping the charts, and he was just doing well. But all this hate and all this fame could not have been good for him, and it wasn't. And it never is. Stop making young people famous. And as he got a little older, he was arrested multiple times. He got into drugs and just general shenanigans, and everyone's eyes were on him.
I think one thing that brings me solace about this whole situation is this would fucking never happen today.
No?
Like, I think that his career trajectory, first of all, there's a million 13-year-olds on YouTube that have beautiful singing voices. I mean, whatever. YouTube is, you know, being a musician on YouTube is not nearly as a novel idea as it used to be. You know, there's no viral videos anymore. There's like viral creators. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
At this time period on YouTube, it's like people are watching like the popular videos, not like the popular creators. You know, you have the early sort of progenitors like, you know, PewDiePie, Smosh, people like that. But I just don't see a world in which like somebody like of like Usher's magnitude sees like a random 13-year-old on YouTube and is just like, I'm signing him.
I mean, and don't TikTok stars get signed all the time?
I think that's a different dynamic though.
Like, they don't have the longevity that Bieber did, but it happens.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. I think that Bieber at the time, the idea of like doing what they did with him, it was a very novel thing.
Like basically scooping him up and then making him the next big thing out of nowhere.
Yeah, I think it was a novel idea, and I think they kind of like took a chance on him. But like, yeah, I mean, like, if you make a fucking TikTok and your TikTok song blows up and you get signed, it's just like, that's not like a new thing. It's like, it's very common for people's songs to blow up on TikTok and them get sort of like industry recognition for it. I think with Bieber, I think that was just a very specific time period where something like that worked and you could very heavily market it like that. Can you even think of a boy band? Because I can't.
No. I mean, boy bands are not in anymore. It's all about the solo artist.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Justin Bieber kind of existed hand in hand with like the last boy bands being like One Direction.
I mean, if we're talking American bands.
Yeah, American bands. I mean, One Direction was like the last great boy band.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think that they kind of coexisted during a time period where like that kind of like idea of a pop star was much more marketable. And I think that young people nowadays are kind of shifting their focus towards other avenues of what they find appealing, you know, what kids find appealing in the music they listen to. But also the image of the person and the music they listen to. I think cultivating that very squeaky clean, you know, boy next door pop artist in Justin Bieber at 13 years old, I just don't think that kind of marketing and career trajectory would just happen anymore.
Is the closest thing we have like Youngblood or something? He's definitely not like G-rated. He's like pretty edgy, but
that's what the kids want.
yeah.
No. I think Youngblood's actually probably a pretty apt comparison. He's nowhere near as popular as Bieber was. Bieber was like an international phenomenon. But like, yeah, kind of. You know, Youngblood's fans are probably mostly kids. And he sort of developed this consistent, almost comical image to maintain that audience.
He's kind of like a teen heartthrob kind of guy.
Yeah, a little bit.
But yeah, I could see it definitely is becoming less common.
Yeah, I just don't see that happening anymore.
It's not enough that Justin Bieber's making annoying, sugary bubblegum pop songs that everybody hates, but he's also a little shithead. And he's breaking the law and doing general shenanigans.
Yeah, he kind of went off the deep end there.
Yeah. So around 2014, once he had done some maturing and growing up, well, he was born again. And now he's a Christian. And that just gives people more reason to hate him. I mean, maybe some people are like, you know what? Justin Bieber's really turned himself around. And I believe it. But I imagine most people...
I'm giving him a chance.
Give him another chance. Yeah. He got baptized. He's clean in my book. But I imagine a lot of other people were like, oh, well, now he's got one more strike against him. He's a God botherer.
Yeah. Only thing I hate more than squeaky, clean, teen heartthrob pop stars is Christian ones.
That being said, Purpose. Banger album.
I actually don't think I've ever listened to a full Justin Bieber album.
I'll say it right here. That's my controversial opinion. Justin Bieber, Purpose. Great album. Pretty much top to bottom. Excellent.
Which album is that?
It came out in around 2015, shortly after he was born again. So it does have a lot of religious themes in it.
This.
Yeah. It's obviously got a matured sound. It's like just a really good pop R&B album. I think Justin Bieber's got a great voice.
Feature on this shit? What the fuck?
But I mean, fuck me. I like Post Malone, so like, don't take anything I say seriously. My opinion is...
I think Post Malone's first album was good.
I like all of them. But like I said, I'm just a fucking stupid basic ass like pop enjoyer. So I think Justin Bieber's album is good.
See, my pop guy is Justin Timberlake.
Yeah. Yeah, he's very good too.
I love Justin. I love Justin Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake is like way more nuanced, a much more like complex pop artist.
That's fair. That is true.
I think early in his career, he didn't deserve the hate, but I can see why he was hated by everybody who was not in his demographic.
It kind of goes back to like the whole Nickelback thing where it's just like, I'm not going to say Justin Bieber deserves the hate because nobody fucking deserves that amount of hate. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't imagine the sort of like how that affects your psyche to be like that age, to be a literal fucking child and have all these people being like, I hope you fucking die, Justin Bieber. I'm going to come to your house and kill you.
I mean, simply being famous and well loved at that age can be harmful. But then you add that and then you also are hated by millions.
Yeah. It's a lot to handle.
He got it bad and it fucked him up and he didn't deserve it. His music was pretty bad, but it wasn't for me. And only his newer, more mature music has finally come around and become for me.
If you're out there, man, we got your back.
Justin Bieber, if you're listening, just know we don't hate you.
We don't hate you.
Unless it's true that you did that sexual assault. Then in that case, I definitely do hate you.
Oh, I did not know about that. Okay, cool. I rescind that statement immediately.
And on that note, this has been the most hated music. We'll see you next Tuesday on the next episode of The Long Couch.
Bye-bye. Bye.